So a couple days ago, I'm waiting in a transit center for my bus that's been delayed by about 10 minutes. It's a cold night, so while I'm in this transit center, a lot of other people are also flocking inside to stay warm. I'm standing in the middle of all these people. Nobody's really talking to each other, even though it's like a big building. There's like 30, 40 people inside of it. Nobody's speaking to each other, and I feel kind of bored. And so as I'm looking around these people, I spot two Asian guys who look to be my age. I think, yo, I could go up to them. I could initiate a conversation, improve my social skills, and even if it goes well or badly, it'll be better than doing nothing. So I go up to them, and I see this guy, one of them, has a beige duffel bag near his feet, which I think, yo, let me ask him about that. So I say, hey, bro, what's in the bag? This guy looks up, and he looks a little bit alarmed, right? A bit more than nervous. He looks alarmed. His eyes dart about, and I just ask him the question again. I'm like, hey, bro, what's in the bag? And slowly he tells me, like, what's wrong with my bag? Right? His English is a little bit broken, but I don't really register that. I say, there's nothing wrong with your bag. I'm just curious what's inside of it. And this thing goes back and forth a few more words when I feel a hand tap me on the shoulder. I look around and I see this guy who it looks like his friend. He's gazing at me, looking pretty angry. He's like, he's looking back and forth between me and his friend. What's the problem here? And I get nervous, right? I feel like, oh shoot, these guys are probably not from Canada. They don't talk like been living here for a long time. They don't seem very comfortable, and they probably think I'm trying to do something to them. So I get nervous. I have like this tendency to think, oh shoot, everything has to be perfect. I gotta tell them I don't mean anything wrong or yada yada yada. And these doubts, these thoughts start piling up into my mind. And the way I let go of them is simple. I just turn off my brain and tell myself, yo, your job, your only goal is to get rejected by these people. So from there, what I do is, yo, I'm not trying to start a problem here. Instead of moving away and giving them distance, giving them space, I start talking to the other guy again about where he's from. Yo, you guys aren't from Canada, are you? The guy's like, no, we are from China. I'm like, oh, okay, where in China? I forgot what he said, right? Maybe Hong Kong, maybe someplace like that. After that, the conversation starts picking up a little bit of pace. It was like at a baby crawl at first, but now we're walking, right? It's not a very fluent conversation. It's definitely very awkward going back and forth with a person whose English is a bit broken. He doesn't really understand what I'm saying. I don't understand what he's saying a lot of the time. But as I continue to persist, as I continue to put effort into this conversation, right? He slowly starts opening up. And when I ask him a question about what does he miss most from China, he's like, yo, his face lights up and he tells me, the food. And immediately I can tell this guy has a connection. This guy is definitely in love with the food in China. He loves it so much that when I ask him, like, tell me about a dish, he's like, I can't explain this to you. He pulls out his phone, shows me a picture of this dish. He's like, this is what I love. This is what I miss the most. Edmonton, it just doesn't really have that. And by the time he shows me that picture, before I can say really anything else, his friend grabs him by the arm and says, our bus is here. We gotta go. And he leaves in a few seconds. I tap him on the shoulder and tell him, have a good night. And afterwards, just standing on my own, because my bus is also pulled up, I sit down and I just start reflecting on this experience. Where I learned that, yeah, even I get nervous, right? Even I'm not a perfect conversationalist. Looking back, it probably seemed a bit too aggressive to ask that guy, yo, what's in the bag? I probably seemed like a gangster. No, I did not seem like a gangster, but it was aggressive, right? Like they didn't know who I was. I didn't know who they were. Maybe they thought I was trying to start something. But I learned that I'm not going to be perfect. That I'm going to make mistakes, that I'll get nervous from time to time. And that's okay. Like that's a natural part of it. Try not to be awkward, try not to be nervous. It's impossible. But when I go and just start trying to like embrace rejection, when I just go in and I don't fear about the consequences, the conversations go well regardless of how I want them to, right? It wasn't a perfect conversation, but I still felt good for having done it. Putting in the effort to just go out there, be authentic, to put myself in a situation where I normally would have felt very, very nervous, and just try my best anyways. And even though that conversation wasn't perfect, even though it wasn't the best conversation I possibly could have had, I felt happy afterwards. I smiled. I felt good, right? And I ended up talking to another person. I'm like, shoot it, like shoot, bro. I got this experience. I feel good for it. Why don't I keep this momentum going? So on the bus ride back, I start speaking to another guy. I feel relaxed. I feel good. By the time I get home, the fear, the judgment, the uncertainty at how the conversation went, it was gone. And that's what I want to say. Like, if you're afraid of awkwardness, if you're afraid of rejection, it never goes away, right? You are never going to be this perfect conversationalist who can master every situation with ease and poise and grace and all of that. Instead, your goal should be to be authentic, to just express yourself as you are, right? Like as your best self. Somebody's trying to become better, right? Because I found the mentality that's helped me the most with speaking to people is just going in to be rejected. If that's my goal, it doesn't make sense to act like a different character. It just makes sense to be authentic for who I am, working towards my best self. And so when I spoke to those Asian guys, I wasn't trying to act cooler than I already was. I wasn't trying to act like a different person from who I saw myself as. I spoke to them. The conversation had ups and downs. I felt nervous throughout, but I kept trying, right? I put in an effort to fully speak to them, even though I felt nervous. And as a result, the nervousness went away, right? That initial fear, the initial hump of getting over the conversation, right? It eased. I felt good about it. And as a result, it went well. I felt good afterwards. And so if you struggle with that, like your problem probably isn't conversational ability. Everybody can talk to another. It probably is just your mind, it's your mental, thinking that you need to be perfect or you need to do all these other prerequisite steps before you can speak to another person, which is just ridiculous. Just be yourself. Get out of your head. Make a success to be rejected. Right? If you go in with every single conversation with the intention of getting rejected, what ends up happening is you become more authentic because when you're authentic, people are going to accept you or reject you regardless of what you do, right? You'll be more authentic. You'll talk to people. And if you get rejected, shoot, that's a success. If you get a good conversation going, that's just like a bonus on top. You realize, whoa, like that went even better than I expected, right? So if you switch that mindset to think, okay, rejection is a good thing, and getting a conversation going is even better, that way you won't ever be losing in a new conversation, a new setting, and a new way to speak to people, right? Reframe it so you have a win-win scenario whenever you speak to a new person. I guarantee you, you will make progress way faster than you think. Because, let's be honest, most people are not talking to other people. Most people, as I have done, are sitting in their rooms, not doing anything, not going outside, not trying to improve their life or their lot. And they wonder why, like, they're not where they want to be. Don't be that person. Don't be the person who's just cooped up in their head telling them, yo, I can't do it because of this, or this is the reason that's holding me back. Get outside, be authentic, and just talk to people. If it goes well, it goes well. If it goes badly, so what? Big whoop. There's always another person. And that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Consider subscribing if you like this content. Peace.